The soft chime of the little brass bell above the door announced Michael Porter's entrance into the small flower shop. The familiar scent of fresh blooms greeted him like an old friend, wrapping him in a warmth that felt worlds away from the sleek, high-end environments he was accustomed to. There were no polished surfaces reflecting city lights here, just rustic wooden crates brimming with delicate arrangements, glass vases lining the shelves, and potted plants hanging from the ceiling. It was personal, inviting, and utterly charming. That was what kept bringing him back. Amelia looked up from behind the counter, her hands deftly trimming the stems of a bouquet. She offered him a polite smile, the kind she gave all customers, but there was something softer in her expression when she saw him. Something almost familiar. "Good afternoon, Mr. Porter," she said, carefully placing the cut flowers into a clear vase. "The usual." He nodded, tucking his hands into the pockets of his expensive coat. "I like to write sometimes, that's all." He raised an eyebrow. "About me?" She groaned, clearly regretting every decision that had led to this moment. "Not about you specifically, just observations, notes about the shop, thoughts I have during the day." She glanced at the bouquet she had been preparing, seeming eager to shift the focus. "You're a regular customer. It's not unusual to make notes about people who come in often." Michael wasn't entirely convinced, and yet he smirked. "I get the feeling I'm not just any regular customer." Amelia sighed again, shaking her head. "I knew I shouldn't have left that thing where Oliver could find it." He chuckled, deciding, for now, to let her off the hook. "Drop it, Porter." But the idea had taken root in his mind, and he knew he wouldn't be able to let it go so easily. Because if she had been writing about him, even in passing, it meant she had noticed him, thought about him, and now he couldn't help but wonder exactly what she had written. Michael hesitated before nodding back. "Hey there." Amelia sighed, shaking her head. "Oliver, you're supposed to be finishing your drawing." But Oliver ignored her, stepping closer with all the boldness only a 6-year-old could muster. "Are you the man from Mummy's Diary?" The question hung in the air like a dropped pin, sharp and unexpected. Michael blinked, glancing between the boy and Amelia, whose face had turned crimson. Her grip tightened on the stems in her hands. Michael hesitated before nodding back. "Hey there," Amelia sighed, shaking her head, knuckles whitening. "Oliver," she said sharply, her voice strained. "That's enough." Undeterred, Oliver beamed at Michael. "She writes about a man who buys flowers every week. A handsome businessman." He tilted his head, curiosity sparkling in his innocent gaze. "That's you, right?" Michael fought to suppress a smirk as he turned his attention to Amelia. "Is that so?" Amelia exhaled sharply, setting the bouquet down with more force than necessary. And maybe, just maybe, he wanted to keep coming back, not just for the flowers, but for the woman who arranged them. Ask, explain. One of these days, Michael thought to himself, "You're going to stop being so nosy." He walked toward the door, but paused before stepping out, glancing back at Oliver. The boy was still happily drawing, completely oblivious to the storm he'd just stirred up. "For the record," Michael said, directing his words at Amelia, "your son has excellent observational skills." Amelia huffed, crossing her arms over her chest. But no matter how hard she tried to mask it, Michael could see the flicker of amusement in her eyes, a mix of irritation and something softer that made him linger a moment longer than necessary. As the door swung shut behind him, Michael found himself thinking about the diary far more than he should have. If Amelia had been writing about him, even in passing, it meant she saw him as more than just another customer. And now, for the first time, he was starting to wonder if he saw her as more than just the woman who ran the flower shop. Michael stepped outside, bouquet in hand, but as much as she tried to brush it off, the tension between them had shifted. From then on, Michael started noticing little things he'd never paid attention to before. How Amelia would glance at him from the corner of her eye and quickly look away when their gazes met. How she fidgeted with ribbons or flower stems whenever they talked. How she always tucked a small notebook away whenever he walked in. His curiosity deepened. Was it possible? Could she actually have feelings for him? The thought lingered long after he left the shop, following him through his day like a shadow. It wasn't just intrigue anymore. It was something else. He'd always liked Amelia, always enjoyed her company. But now he found himself wondering how she saw him. The following Friday, he returned as usual, but this time he was watching for any sign that Oliver had been telling the truth. Leaning casually against the counter while she wrapped his bouquet, he observed her hands as they moved swiftly, effortlessly. Ask, explain. Lots of people want to take you on dates, Michael said, biting the inside of his cheek to keep from laughing. He couldn't help it. Amelia's frustration was oddly endearing. Amelia threw her hands up in exasperation. "I'm never writing in that diary again." Michael wasn't entirely sure why this whole situation amused him so much, but it did. Maybe it was because Amelia was usually so composed, so graceful. Seeing her flustered, watching the cracks form in her carefully constructed walls, it made her more real, more intriguing. Beneath the teasing and amusement, though, there was something else stirring inside him, a feeling he wasn't quite ready to name yet. He picked up the bouquet she'd prepared for him and turned toward the door, pausing before stepping outside. "One of these days, Amelia, You're going to have to tell me what's in that diary. She rolled her eyes but didn't say anything as Michael walked to his car. As he drove away, he found himself wondering if just maybe he wasn't. Greetings, dear companions. I wish you a blessed and fulfilling day. Today I bring you a solemn message, one that carries the weight of a prophecy unfolding before our very eyes. I speak to you with the heartfelt affection of the protector of Medjugorje, for the time has come for us to pay attention to a message that will shake the foundations of our world. The Virgin Mary, through the Medjugorje apparitions, has conveyed a prophetic vision, a warning of catastrophic events, each more daunting than the last. These are not just distant fears, but clear signs, unfolding one by one, leading us down a path toward an uncertain and at times frightening future. Earthquakes, floods, extreme climate changes, and pandemics are all part of the dire future she has revealed. These events, though devastating, are not simply random occurrences. They are divine signals urging us to reconsider the course of our lives. Time is short, and the time of purification is rapidly approaching. In the face of the coming challenges, natural disasters, social unrest, pandemics are not arbitrary, but signs, warnings for us to turn our hearts back to God. Only through sincere remorse and the opening of our hearts can we find redemption. Now is the time for deep, honest reflection. It is time to ask ourselves, how have our actions hurt the world and those around us? How have we failed to live according to God's will? But this is not a time for despair. It is a time for transformation. We have the power to change the course of the future. If we embrace love, kindness, and repentance, we can break the chains of the past and usher in a new era of peace and faith. Each of us has a role to play in this renewal. Through this message, the Heavenly Mother offers us the opportunity to be reborn. She calls us to take responsibility for the choices we make, to recognize the truth that is before us, and to act accordingly. The gates of heaven are open to all who turn to God with humility, forgiveness, and love. Love.